The net worth game is the game everyone plays, whether they know it or not. Here, we pick up where traditional schooling failed at educating the truth about money. Think financial success seems to be a secret only a few know? Well, this show aims to demystify and deconstruct wealth accumulation. Not wealthy, not successful yet. It's not your fault. The information isn't taught in school. Let's uncover the secrets to growing wealthier together. Now, here's your host, Josh Darville, with the Net Worth Game.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, very special guest today. We got Mr. Gabe. I'm going to say it, Grozowski. Am I saying it right?
Grzinski.
Grzinski. Gabe and I are a part of Mr. Tim Brotz's legacy family. We're doing commercial real estate together, and he's been just continuing to grow his business and raising capital, taking down deals. And so today it's going to be a really interesting conversation, because not every day do we get people that are actually operators doing this stuff day to day. No longer a W-2 employee, right? Like you're not working for anybody else. This is your.
As of January of this year, no, I am full-time real estate.
Full-time real estate. Awesome. So just if you can you tell us a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself to our audience here on the Net Worth Game?
Yeah, so Gabe Grzinski. I guess I sort of started my career. I was in the Marine Corps Reserve. Learned to repair electronics there. Worked on sort of guidance systems and such. So after that, I got into telecom, the cellular industry, and was in that industry up until January of this year. Was last director of I think it was the largest privately held tower company in the United States. So, it was a good experience, but I sort of lost the fire that I used to have. My wife and I, when our oldest son was born, she left corporate America and got a real estate license, and we sort of stumbled into initially, sort of fix and flips and wholesaling, and really liked what we saw. The earning potential seemed, didn't have a ceiling, and that was pretty appealing. After working, I was probably at my ceiling anyway for salary. I was a fairly high six-figure salary, but I remember when I first had a six-figure salary and thought, hey, I've made it. I thought that was the pinnacle of success, but it was far from it. You just you get more expensive taste. You take on more debt, and at this time, we had our family was a little bit smaller than it is now. So yeah, six figures doesn't really go that far.
It is kind of interesting that the more you make, it seems like the more you typically spend, but also there is no reason not to live a big lifestyle, isn't there? Like, why not? If somebody else can do it, why not you, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. And, I think back to, working 50, 60, hours a week. And there've been times where I worked considerably more than that. And it was, just because I worked more, I wasn't earning more.
Right.
And, I've made, in a single deal, I've made basically a year's salary for way less time. So it's, the trading time for money is not that appealing, but that's not what you're taught in school. You're taught to, you go to, ideally go to college, you know, rack up a bunch of debt, pay that off the next, 10, 20 years of your life, and invest in your 401k, and hopefully you'll retire with enough money to make it through retirement if you don't live, great, I guess. So,
Right. Yeah. And the, so, I mean, you were in the military, and the military, doesn't really teach about wealth either. I mean, there was no classes on like, hey, your body's not going to be able to do this stuff forever, nor probably should you. So why don't you start learning how to actually accumulate wealth? I mean, I was in the Army. We didn't get taught any, there's no budgeting classes or, how to invest classes. As like, what's your MOS or your, your mission specialty? No one ever talked about that. So what started you on your path of education? Like, what was the moment where you said, all right, I'm going to learn how to start doing some investing? Was it the word investing? I mean, like,
yeah, it was really, I think it was my wife's first listing. It was a buddy that I had worked with in telecom. He relocated to another state, so she was, listing his house, and it was perfect for a fix and flip. He had done some work to it, but it had great potential to, if it were to be renovated, the ARV would have been much higher.
right.
So that sort of got us going down that path, and we spent, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 years, mainly focused on single family and smaller multifamily, and we did fix and flips and wholesaled and owner finance, but it really didn't really like it, to be honest.
Well,
I like the real estate.
Just for our audience, so how many flips have you done?
Oh, just a handful. They're the a lot of work, and I know this. I know some people are great at it. That wasn't, just wasn't our thing. Too transactional, and a lot of times you're dealing with people that are in sort of dire straits. So mostly would try to steer people the path of listing with the realtor. They were going to get more of their money out anyway. So obviously there's some scenarios that are probably best for to sell off market to someone, but for the most part,
Sure.
It's best to go on market. You're going to get the most out of it.
As your wife having a real estate license, you're able to help them in that scenario as well, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so it wasn't necessarily sending them somewhere else, because you're able to reach into your tool bag, so to speak. You're like, okay, we could list it as a realtor. We can buy it wholesale. We can fix and flip it. We could do creative cash. You have all these different tools. So you're actually looking out for the best interests of everyone involved.
Yeah. Yeah. We wouldn't push them to use her, but, would offer that would be on the table. So.
Well, yep. So I've had my real estate license, and I've worked at a place that often would come on in and say, hey, get a guaranteed offer. If we don't sell it, we'll buy it, stuff like that. So it's a great marketing tactic. A lot of realtors are using that by partnering with someone who does do we'll pay cash, we'll buy it. So then you've started doing wholesaling and then started doing buy and hold, or did you have some buy and holds already going?
No, we had one owner finance deal that we did, and we figured the cost was so it was pretty inexpensive, so we figured if we're going to throw money away, might as well we'll try this out and see how it goes, and if we lose money, it's not that big of a deal.
Got it. Got it. So we just got back from Denver. Denver was awesome. We were there with the Legacy family, which is a part of Tim Brotz's organization. And for folks that couldn't go, I mean, whether you're a part of our group or not, what's some of your biggest takeaways from that event?
Oh, yeah, it was incredible. Some of the tax strategies, and I think there's one or two that I've heard before, and I think, man, we really need to do that. The Augusta rule being the one that comes to mind, because it's easy, tax-free money on the personal side, and a write-off on the business side. So it's a great tactic to use to lower your tax basis. So and then there's just so many incredible people. When you have 200 people, it's sort of hard to network with everybody, but that's why we go multiple times a year, so we can the people who really didn't get to talk to this time, we'll talk to in Nashville here in a few months.
Sure. Was there any standout speaker? Was there any standout moment for you of that was amazing? Like,
man,
that one day.
I really liked Garrett Gunderson. He's his delivery was incredible. And he knows what he's talking about, and he delivers it in a format that's, I think, easy to digest and keeps it interesting.
Sure. So for people who don't know who Garrett Gunderson is, he wrote a book called Killing Sacred Cows. I think there's a revised version coming out, some additional stuff, being that the market's kind of shifted a little bit. He kind of looks like Jesus. He's got the long hair, the beard and everything. And, he's a really, really cool guy. His background was all kinds of finance stuff. It's like in being an entrepreneur, there's this thing that happens where we just start reading books and consuming content to learn, right? Like, isn't it interesting to you? Like, I don't know how many books or how many, things that you've done. I'd love for you to tell me what's one of the most impactful books you've ever read.
Man, I'm behind the Bible really has a lot of stuff in it that it really speaks to finance as well. I tell you, the one book that I never did read, I actually received it from a friend's father, like when I was 18, and man, if I kicked myself for not reading it at that time, was Rich Dad Poor Dad. Still haven't read it. It's probably sitting here on my shelf here somewhere, but I've I'm trying to think of anything that's really, I do a lot of audiobooks and podcasts, and I can't think of anything other than the Bible that really sort of sticks out right now that has had a huge impact. But I think the Rich Dad Poor Dad would have had a huge impact had I read it at 18, and it would have probably helped my mindset tremendously.
So you'd say your faith has a big part of your business then?
Yeah, I would say so.
I was talking with my brother, and we were talking about how the Bible has these different tenets in it, these different things where it's like, hey, look, if you tithe, right? The Bible says, bring in the tithe, which means a tenth, and then we'll throw up the doors of heaven and pour out a blessing on you. And I was like, it's interesting because there's another book called 10X, and it's basically like, it talks about giving, but it's called 10X, which is a power of 10. And I just think it's interesting that, tithing and growing your net worth, your wealth, many, many, many times over is a biblical principle that other people apply to their life. And these principles, I don't care if you're a Bible believing Christian or not, there's these principles that they work no matter what, right? So it was written a long time ago. It's put into the word, right? But if you apply it, they just work. It's sowing and reaping, planting seeds, and eventually you'll have that harvest, right?
Yeah. I mean, we've definitely seen it, because we really hadn't found a church that we really felt like was home until just earlier this year, actually. And then ever since then, we have been giving first fruits, the 10%, as soon as anything comes in, that's, before anything goes out, we tithe. And it's really quite incredible how things have been working out here in the past, 4 to 6 months.
That's awesome. So in the same kind of talking about faith and how it affects finance, what I've seen a lot of people talk about Dave Ramsey, and I like Dave Ramsey as a beginning starting point. However, the whole idea of the Bible says never have any debt. How do you navigate that with your own life?
Yeah, so that's, I know I was listening to probably an audio book or something, and it was, some faith-based finance, and they did bring that up, but I think, to me, it's not. I think that's more along the lines of, yeah, it's that one's hard. I feel it's more personal debt. I think, I think with the business debt, it's
Yep.
it's a great tool, and it's, you obviously, I think in our scenarios where, traditionally, most folks are syndicating, we're helping other folks, sort of build wealth and such as well. So, I'm torn a little bit, but and I see where Dave Ramsey's coming from, because I think he is, he is using the Bible there as his foundation in, saying all debt is bad, but
But again, I think you hit it.
Most debt is bad.
I think you hit it on the head. You said personal, right? So when my wife and I have helped facilitate FPU, that's Dave Ramsey's product, Financial Peace University, for 7 years. And what we've found is when we're talking to folks who are drowning in debt, tearing up your credit cards, cut them up, it's good advice. However, for entrepreneurs, for people that are trying to accelerate their wealth growth, debt is not a bad thing, right? It is
not
almost
at all.
Well, the other thing is, it's in a lot of ways I'm partnering with the bank to be able to provide people with safe, affordable housing, right? I mean, like that's the way I look at it. I've partnered with the bank. I've partnered with you, or Javier, Terry, Tim, whomever, and we're partnering together to actually provide safe, affordable housing for people. The idea of slumlords is just a psychological manipulation of the poor people so that they never want to actually own rental properties. I haven't ever met, I don't think I've ever met a real slumlord who just doesn't care. They've made them out in these movies where it's like, oh, you own real estate and you just don't care. We try to keep our properties nice and clean. I'm not making the Taj Mahal. We're not making, 5-star hotel on the beach for every single property. I mean, we do have some luxurious Airbnbs, and those are very, very nice. But on the rental properties, sometimes people need a safe, clean place to call home. And
Yeah.
in order to provide that for people at scale, I need partners. I need people that can partner with me financially. And sometimes that's a bank. But you know what that bank is? It has other people's money in it. So, I mean, I just look at it as a partnership. I think the idea that telling people never to go into debt is good for the consumer, 100%. So, within that same framework, talking about faith and finance, how else does the Bible and your faith actually help you in business?
Well, I think I think it certainly helps with finding partnerships and people that are aligned with your common interest. I know there have been times in the past where maybe not all partners have been aligned, and and some of those deals are ones that have sort of gone a little sideways. Um, so yeah, I think that's another way that it helps. I mean, you don't want to be partnering with someone that's doing satanic rituals at home or anything like that. So
at least not on Tuesdays. So
yeah.
so the Bible has a verse that says don't be unequally yoked. It's talking about a marriage, right? And it's like, all right, so if you're a person of faith and you have somebody that's got a different faith or maybe no faith at all, which we could talk about that, but like you're talking about trying to stay with somebody that's heading at least in the same direction in life. And a partnership with business is kind of like a marriage. I mean, it's short term, or maybe there's long term, but like it's still a partnership. So you're looking at it saying, would you do a deal with somebody that is, say, I mean, obviously not doing satanic rituals, but let's say somebody is straight up, no, I'm an atheist. I don't want to do that. Do you want to do deals with people like that, or it's just you're willing to work with anyone? Tell us, how do people work with you, and how do you vet them?
Well, I just think at the end of the day, it's coming down to morals and principles. I think if we're aligned there, obviously would prefer to work with someone else that has all the same values, but no, it's really just about someone that's going to do what they say they're going to do at the end of the day, I think.
Right. And then we look at track record, right? We're looking for people that actually have not only, can talk the talk, but have shown that they have been successful. So whenever you're looking at partnerships specifically, like what's some of the questions you ask? How do you figure out who is doing it and who's just talking it?
Yeah, I'm trying to find out folks that they've worked with in the past. I know we took a leap of faith on someone before, and it sort of bit us in the butt, I guess you could say. They thought they could raise a lot of capital, but I think all of their eggs were in one basket, and it didn't pan out. So yeah, just sort of looking at track record, seeing who they've worked with, what they've done in the past. It obviously, not everyone has done multifamily, but maybe they've done some other business ventures, and see how those have gone.
Sure.
That's about it.
So I'll tell you, I've hired good Christian buddies, right, and to do work, and sometimes it works out, but I've had certain situations where those are the worst relationships I've had, because they just are expecting. There's this sense of entitlement within teaching your kids about faith and their finances. How are you helping to keep your kids from feeling that sense of entitlement?
That's a good question. And we make sure that they that they see how what we're doing. They we take them out on I know when we were doing single family, there's a little more activity involved there, but we would take them along to properties, and they would see the work that we're doing. Sometimes doing the work ourselves, and then just trying to keep them around other entrepreneurs. I think I don't remember who said it in Denver, but they mentioned that your kids will listen to and do maybe 30% of what you're asking them to do, but if they hear the same thing from somebody else that they see as successful, then they'll most likely do it.
Yeah, maybe that was Chris Rude.
Yeah, probably
when we were talking about kids and stuff. He's a trip.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, Chris is a trip. He's very passionate about what he's doing with his family. So anyway,
yes, he is. Yeah, I know. I'm taking my oldest son to a baseball game here this evening with a bunch of other real estate investors, and just so he can experience that, and he's probably going to be the one that we have the most trouble with. He's a handful, very very hard-headed, but that's good.
Well, so that would be the power of association, right? You are the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. We've heard that said a lot. That's why I love hanging out with you and all these other investors and people, whether it's at Tim Brotz's events or Terry Thayer's or Javier's. I mean, we just continue to network with those people because entrepreneurs are only maybe 3% of the population. So we're wired differently. We're weird. We read books and go to seminars and do this stuff for fun.
Definitely not something I would have, as a teen. My dad, he had his own business, and he ended up basically investing everything he had into an opportunity and lost it all. So it put us, the family in a tough spot, and so ever since then I really didn't the idea of having my own business or being an entrepreneur never really thought about it up until 5 years ago.
So how do you avoid shiny object syndrome? Like, you're doing real estate. How did you get there? How many other businesses did you go through along the way? How do you avoid shiny object syndrome? For folks that don't know, is just like, hey, you can invest in this cryptocurrency, or there's this, I don't know, new business coming out, restaurant. Like, I'm sure you get approached about some other opportunity once a week. How do you avoid dealing with all that?
I just simply tell people that I know real estate. That's what I know, and that's what I'm going to focus on. That's until you have millions of dollars just sitting around, then maybe you can diversify, and we diversify maybe within real estate, but that's what I know, what I want to focus on. I don't want to go down any more rabbit holes. So this is what we're sticking with. This is the horse that brought us here, and that's the one we're going to ride.
Got it. So within your real estate business, currently you're doing acquisitions of multifamily. That's your main focus?
Yeah, multifamily, and then we are looking into sometime this month should have a debt and institutional equity brokerage that will be opening.
Okay. All right. And so if people want to get in touch with you, where do they go?
The easiest one is going to be Grzinski .com right now, and then I'm with my age and demographics, I'm on Facebook mostly, then LinkedIn and Instagram, sort of I'm on there a little bit, but not as active as Facebook. So
Awesome. Awesome. Um, within what we've been talking about faith and family, finance, is there any kind of just tips or little nuggets of wisdom that you would share with somebody just getting started?
um, you know, uh, I know that they mentioned it on the panel, but um, we have definitely seen our kids are thriving much better in a private Christian school environment. We're actually moving them here this next school year to more of a sort of a college style where I think they go 2 or 3 times a week, and then we homeschool them the other days. So it gives us more time to be a part of their lives and help mold them. Whereas obviously in the public school, you don't know what's being taught. Some states are different than others, but um, we like uh, having that opportunity to spend time with them and help mold them into um, you know God loving adults in the future, and kids that are going to have morals and principles, and they'll be of great character. So
Sure. Yeah. I tell my kids that they're going to inherit um, a, a business. They're going to inherit money. They're going to have more than where other people start out at, and that I want to teach them how to pass that on to their kids. Again, faith and finance. The Bible says, leave an inheritance for your children's children. So I want to go at least 2 generations with what we're building here. And one of the big things is, making sure that they understand how to use this vehicle that we're creating. So I'm glad to hear that you're doing that. I will offer you an invite right now because I know Terry is hosting. Do you know Terry Thayer?
yeah.
He's in our group. So he hosts these awesome events called Tab Tribe Retreats, or I think it's just tabtribe.com. But, you bring the kids, you can go out to Jamaica. I think it's like 80% networking and 20% where they're going to be talking about this. But again, it's for entrepreneurs, who want to bring their whole family and kind of hang out and hopefully make those connections. So that's something that's happening in September, October. It's just another kind of cool event, but it's one where I'm hoping to bring my kids, and then maybe they can make some friends too. Because again, you're going to be the average of the 5 people you hang out with. I want them to hang out with people like you and me, and for people listening to this podcast to understand that there are places, there are events where entrepreneurs get together, and it's your job to find those. They're not going to come out and be like, "Hey, can I hang out with you? What are you doing?" Nothing. It's like you'll have to learn how to provide value, or at least have a higher level conversation rather than just what you're working on. So
yeah, you're not going to be talking about the latest season that you binge watch on Netflix. So
yeah, I mean, it is interesting. Like I don't know what's hot right now on TV, I haven't had cable for years, right? It's been probably a decade. I was pulling up my Audible app. You said you do a lot of Audible?
Uh-huh. Yep.
If you go to the profile picture on your Audible account and then you go to your badge collector, like I've got all these badges.
Oh, cool.
Which I
Didn't even
think
know
is,
that existed.
and then you can go to listening time, and you can go to total listening time. Right now I'm at let's see if it'll pick it up. Come on. 23 days, 14
Wow.
hours of like audiobooks that I've listened to, which I was thinking about this because I was in church and we were talking about, do you do the same thing with the Bible, right? I was like, yeah, the Bible app that I use doesn't have those same stats. I wish it did. It has some badges and stuff. But then I was thinking like, all right, I know some guys that probably do 23 days worth of watching of football whenever it's football season. You know, that's what they're spending your time on. That's where your focus is. So where there's a other quote, you know, focus, where your focus goes, your energy flows. And you know, how do you keep your focus on this stuff?
Yeah. No, no doubt about that. I know before I used to, you know, I did used to watch Netflix. I would, you know, spend, you know, all day Saturday watching college football, you know, just because. But yeah, now I don't have the time for that anymore, or don't want to spend the time on it.
Right. Yeah, and it's that bigger vision that continues to pull you through that, because when we don't have a vision for the future, kind of don't really know what to do, you know? So I just want to say again, if people want to get in touch with you, they go to it's Krasinski
Capital. Or
that,
look me up on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram. Gabe
yeah,
Krasinski.
we'll put the links in the show notes. Are you also on LinkedIn at all? You said LinkedIn?
Yeah, I'm on there.
And what's your favorite social media platform is Facebook. So if they DM you, you know, that's one way. If you guys are in, what's your primary area that you're investing in? Geographically,
Texas, predominantly.
Okay.
Yep.
So if you know anybody looking to sell some multifamily in Texas, be sure to reach out. And you know, again, thank you for being on the show. I always get so much out of doing these podcasts because it's great to be able to just sit down and have a conversation for a little bit, and talk about faith and finances. So
indeed. All right. Thanks, Josh.